As long as flannels are in fashion, indie rock will sound homogenized like a carton of milk. I mean, good on bands for getting their start with a simple sound, but it's not the kind of stuff I specifically go out of my way to listen to. Oh, Ricky, you pretentious scrap of expired ham, leave the young independent bands alone and go right for the Quietus or something. Whoa, whoa, settle your kettle, pally wally. I didn't say I didn't like them. I'm just naturally drawn towards things that don't sound like other things phased through a photocopier. I don't know why I'm having this exposition. It seems entirely counterproductive and pointless in hindsight. I guess I just needed a reason to say why Blu Fish's new EP was a pleasant surprise, because as far as indie rock and indie pop goes, inspired by 70 jingly, jangly guitar melodies and a slight hint of surf rock and psychedelic essence performed by fellas just outside your suburban doorstep goes, Blu Fish's Shments EP feels a little bit refreshing in that they're actually very good at writing punchy songs. Each track may be good at doing its own little catchy thing as expected, but it's how they get to that goal that pleases me, and although there are a few clumsy and bog-standard moments on the EP, I think this is a bit of an arbitrary problem and more to do with my personal taste than what the actual quality of the EP is, because Shments is colour-splashed, charismatic, and most of all fun, with enough tongue-in-cheek to satisfy your local offal butcher. I must say, the general attitude and specific content of Shments feels pretty close to home, mostly because they're from West Auckland, which is pretty close to home. It took me a moment to realise that the cover photo and title were taken from a Pride Parade sign that probably said punishments on it. This is not relevant information to the review, or at least I don't think, but considering their choice for mentioning it in their Bandcamp and their general idea of having it there as the cover, I guess it just shows in general that they know their surroundings very well, unlike me who doesn't even know the best deal at the sushi shop on his road. Beginning with a song for the social outcasts who feel uncomfortable at parties, I found it neat that the verses have switching vocalists with every line. It sounds like different voices in your head telling you what to do. Actually, let me take a step back. This EP has a concept. Yes, it does. It's based on a party and also the drunken walk home after a party. So yes, very familiar territory. A lot of it really seems to be in a state of adolescence, providing an introspective view of what a teenager might have to say about the world around them, because when you are in an inebriated state, you become more honest.
Charlie XCX is honestly one of the greatest, most forward-thinking artists of our generation.
Or at least you gain some sort of liquid confidence because the filter that usually stops you from saying something has magically disappeared, probably stored away in the cupboard of your imagination. Quite honestly, I've just lost track of what I was supposed to be talking about. Truthfully, I really like this EP. The guitar tones shine really brightly, the hooks get stuck in your head, especially on tracks like Scenic Drive, and although it does have a bit of a clumsy step on Asinine Homies where the 5/4 signature might have been a good way to make the song sound uncertain and mathy and dizzy and above all cool, it was a neat attempt to write a catchy song with that sort of strange rhythm, let alone one with a guitar solo that sounds like it's being played through a bathtub full of milk. However, I can forgive the EP for this moment because on the next track, Scenic Drive, there's a genuinely incredible breakdown near the end which is so rampant and thrilling that it took me by surprise. It's so rooted in teenage suburbia that the next track literally has a hook about listening to Peach Pit. But thankfully from here on out everything sounds skin tight and doesn't waste a moment noodling on. I was kind of hoping for a tad more insight from these songs, as the EP does have a clear-cut narrative to follow, but the topic of following the walk and the antics and the conversations of drunk teenagers does start to wear thin a little bit. A lot of the demographic would probably be very familiar with this concept anyways, but luckily this is saved at the end by the track Freshes, which rolls around and I am pleasantly surprised. It explodes with a chorus that tells the older generation to piss off, but just for questioning what the younger gen are doing. It definitely reads initially like the rant from a drunk, sleep-deprived teenager, but the directionlessness in the final verse seems to show that Blu Fish seem to know just what they're talking about, and they play it pretty upfront. None of those faux intellectual we live in society analogies here, more like it's legitimately just them being themselves. For everything that the band have in a sound that you might have heard many times over, they certainly do tighter and more precise things with it than your average band that heard Arctic Monkeys or Mac DeMarco once. Although my score for this is a very strong 6 out of 10 to a feathery 7 out of 10, I have to be careful because it would be easy for me to hear this and say they should progress their sound to be more interesting, but I don't want to do that, because they're extremely capable of doing lots with this sound here. I mean, if they want to get adventurous, I mean sure. I'll certainly be surprised if they chuck in some blast beats and drone music into the next one, but to expect anything else but genuinely solid pop tunes is a little bit silly, so regardless I'm willing to give this some light acclaim and a very solid recommendation if you're into this sort of stuff. Cheers, I also respect the Export Gold box.